Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified. I'm Shaveen Bandaranaike. Generally, you have two specific kinds of students when it comes to examination and study preparation. On the one hand, you have those that work backwards from their examination date or their assignment submission date and spread out the substance or the subject matter that they have to cover evenly throughout that period. On the other hand, you have a particular type of student that tends to congregate the subject matter or the content that they have to go through towards the latter part of the academic year, much closer to the examination or the assignment submission date. Now, by no means am I saying that the former is better than the latter. Quite the contrary. Law is a subject which, as I've mentioned a number of occasions on this very channel, that dives deeper into how you think as opposed to what you know. So there are plenty of students out there that may leave everything to the 11th hour and not just pass but ace their examinations. It's dependent upon how each individual student articulates and then presents their arguments to an examiner. Now, no matter what type or what category of student that you may be, a common misconception among all students across the board is that the amount of content that they have access to, they feel, is correlative to the grade that they will ultimately achieve. It is more about studying or preparing smart as opposed to hard, so to speak. Now, closer to an examination period, something that I come across on a daily basis is students from both camps, either those who prepare diligently and planned out the entire academic year, or those who have left it to the very end, trying to seek out as much notes and content as possible in order to enrich their knowledge. Now, this is fantastic if done properly. This video is meant to cut through the clutter, so to speak, and give you an understanding of what you should really think about when you have those vast amounts of notes that you've prepared, the material that you've collated in order to go through prior to an examination. The key ingredient to making the most out of your study material and the notes that you have made over a span of a semester is distillation. What do I mean by this? When I was preparing for my LLB or the Bachelor of Laws degree back in the day, a technique that I utilized was to take the subject matter that I had studied and prepared extensive notes on and then put it through a filtered set of stages to distill it from that which is a large chunk of data or information to a much more manageable set of principles, which I then developed into what you have seen commonly in this channel as well, which are the spider graphs. Now, these spider graphs amounted to the final stage of this process. So how did I do this? Step one would be to collate all of the information that you have accumulated in your study. This might be based on notes that you've made in class if you're going to an in-person institution. It might be lecture recordings that you have transcribed. It might even be you having read your subject guide or other university material and taking down pages and pages of notes. Step two is to read through these notes and then convert them into a double-sided A4 or an equivalent piece of paper. Essentially, you have summarized it, you have concluded it, you've taken out the most important elements to fill up that one page, a double-sided A4. Step 3 is to take this double-sided A4 and break it down further into a smaller piece of paper in bulleted or individual point form. This essentially is to take this double-sided A4 and to make it into an even more manageable piece of paper. I would recommend an A5, which is half the size of an A4 at that. You can still have it double-sided, but make sure that it has less information than the previous A4 whilst having the most important components of it. Finally, step 4, and the final stage of this, is to convert this into a form of a spider graph. Now you can find my spider graphs littered across this particular channel as well as my courses. Those are the core materials that I use in conducting my masterclass and fast track programs. But you can access them yourself to get a reference for it through the links in the description below. Once you have created these spider graphs for each individual topic, your mind should essentially work towards and deconstruct it into the bigger picture. If you have done this technique properly, not only would you have made your extensive set of notes into a manageable spider graph, but in the process, having gone through that entire step-by-step technique to get to the spider graph, you have already gone through that topic 4 times over. Right, so the goal of this video was to give you a sense of how you can optimize and make the most out of the extensive set of notes that you have accumulated over your entire semester, or you've come across from your colleagues and friends as well. Because it's not essentially just about the amount of content that you have, but how exactly you use it to target an examination. If you'd like to set up a fast track or a masterclass to get more detailed guidance on not just how to study and to prepare yourself for an examination, but on how exactly to put pen to paper, so to speak, and not just pass but ace your examinations, make sure you reach out through the links in the description below. I've launched a brand new platform that has several comprehensive pre-recorded masterclasses as well, in a format that is easy to follow and that you can do so at your own pace, which you can check out once again in the description down below, or the link will appear on screen as well. But until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.